Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Friday, October 11th. Long week behind us, and we're almost halfway through October. And I woke up one day this week where I went out to, I'm from Texas, right? So I woke up, went out to my car for an early morning meeting, and it said 59 degrees. So hey, maybe fall's here, and if you live in Texas, fall lasts like a week, and then we have like an ice storm or something. But then again, it's 90 again in December, so can't really know what's going on. But we have three exciting topics for you today. First of all, there has been so much hype going into this release that it was kind of priceless, if you will, for Tesla and the robo-taxi, big hype, blah, blah, blah. Last night it ended up getting delayed, so it didn't roll out till later. Mike's going to peel that one back for us and show you what the stock is doing today. Not liking it is what it's doing. And then another huge earnings that, how earnings kind of have earnings seasons, if you will. Well, the banks kick off earnings season. And of course, one of the banks, I'm not a huge bank investor. I kind of like more the private equity stuff. But JP Morgan, if you're going to go best of breed in the banks, I think JP Morgan would get my vote for that. And of course, Jamie Dimon has been in the chair ever since the global financial crisis. So steady hand at the wheel. They had earnings. I think you're going to like what you see off of that. And then we'll talk about that stock as well. And lastly, had a lot of questions coming in about ticker symbol MMKT because it's showing up in a lot of portfolios. Mike went over things Wednesday night and said, it's in our top 10. Well, I think it's up to fourth now. So we're moving into that. That's a money market fund, but it's in an ETF. And you're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's brand new. That's the first time it's ever been done. Texas Capital Bank did it, courtesy of Ed. And, more and more people are going to follow this sort of wrapper meaning the style of investment for the money market. So that's what we have for today. It's a financial education presentation. So you have to do your own due diligence before acting upon anything here in this presentation. More disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are Mike and mine alone. Over to Mike. Let's hear about this robo-taxi.
CyberCab.
Oh, yes.
You got to get the right names.
No, I agree. I've been calling it robo-taxi for too long.
Robo-taxi, taxis, cyber. You got to use the fancy words because no one will mix
AI cab.
No one will mix that up with cyber attack because that's what I think.
I like that minus 7% up there. That's my favorite part of this slide.
Yes. So it has been years and years since Elon Musk talked about having a Tesla and being able to make money on your Tesla, sending your car out and letting people ride around in it and collecting dollars. Now, I must confess, full disclosure, I own a Tesla and I've owned one for 5 years, and I definitely did not buy my Tesla so other people could ride around in it doing whatever. And I thought, interesting idea. Like my mind thought my insurance would go through the roof. People would drive around in it. I was like, this is not a good thing. But anyways, this is what was hyped. In full self-drive, you'll be able to sit back and just ride it. Now, I can tell you some things about self-drive. It has been a long time coming to get it close to what it's acceptable to me. But still, it's not hands-off. Forget paying attention to the road. It's not there. So this comes out last night. It's big, exciting. It's been hyped and hyped and hyped for years. How does the market react? Well, the market, Tesla was only down 6% in the pre-market, and now it is down almost 8%. Tesla continues this, we aren't a car company, we're a software company, we're innovative, we're going to do things that are way different. And I can tell you that the innovation is taking so long that the competition is catching up. And that is the biggest problem. And when the competition catches up, and the competition is genuinely car companies, although Google does have the Waymo, which is a competitor on the CyberCab idea. When the competition starts catching up, your company is not going to be the most valuable, or it's going to go down in market cap. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Tesla. And here, I'm going to bring up the stock. And this stock is certainly volatile. I'll just look at year to date, and you might say, well, not so bad. Of course, it's only down a little bit year to date. But let's look at all time, and you can see that, hey, it's surged up into 2022. And since then, it's down 40%. So if you invested back then, you're down 40%. And here's the thing. I love Elon Musk. I think he's great. He's innovative. He comes up with ideas. He basically single-handedly advanced Tesla to where it is today. And he also overtook Twitter, which I'm not a big user of, and turned it to X and all that. He's all over the place. He's into space and solar and presidential thing. I mean, he's all over. Needs some focus. If you're going to be the CEO of a company, if you're going to be this leader and you hold so many shares of it and you're worth billions, focus, focus, focus. Tesla seems to have lost some focus here. These things are taking forever to come out. It's losing shareholder value. And there's a couple fundamental problems with this idea of a CyberCab. One is they say it's going to be $30,000. And you say $30,000, that's not so bad for a vehicle, a brand new vehicle. It doesn't have a steering wheel. It's just full self-drive. It's just you get in it and you go. And 20, 30 years from now, if that's the world we're in, where we no longer drive cars, it'll be a decent idea. I do. I think it'll be a good idea. I cannot imagine America without having cars and the ability to drive, because a car is the modern day horse. So 200-300 years ago, before cars, you had horses, and that was your freedom. That's how you got out and around. Not that I know, but I just read about it. And I cannot imagine a world where we don't have at least the freedom to go where we want. And to get in a car, do you trust it? I would trust going up in planes and you're not touching anything, but there is a driver. Do you trust these? I don't know. Here's the other thing. $30,000, they're ending on the low price of the as far as a price range. That's cheap. So you're competing on price. And when you're competing on price, guess what? There are inexpensive cars going to come from China that are going to undercut this price. So they have to really be based on software. And if China can copy that software at the same time, this idea from Tesla is going to flop. Because if Tesla creates a car in America for 30,000, built by American labor, China will find one for 10, and then you're going to have a price war. So, not impressed with this, and the stock isn't either. And what this made me think of is the concept of vaporware. Steve, have you ever heard vaporware? It's a software
I
idea.
think I have, but refresh me.
Okay.
You use it and it goes away or something?
Well, no, it's this. It's in the 90s, software, you'd say, oh, I'm going to switch from Excel to Quattro Pro, or I'm going to switch to this other software. And Microsoft or whoever would say, no, don't switch. We got this great stuff coming. Or don't buy the competitor's product, because a year from now, ours is going to be so much better. And I actually brought up this on Wikipedia, vaporware. Typically, hardware or software that is announced to the general public but is late, never actually manufactured, or officially canceled. Use of the word is broadened to include products such as automobiles. And I was like, vaporware. This is vaporware. They've been talking about this for 5 years. The CyberCab's still a couple years away. It is, will we see it? It's certainly well delayed. And what they're trying to do is say, hey, here's this opportunity in the future. You can purchase your own cab and rent it out to other people. So not a big fan of this. I mean, I am a fan of let's get full self-driving and, autonomous driving. That'll be great. I'll love it when that is out and I can totally trust it. But, Tesla kind of missed the boat and the shareholders are beating it down. So, Steve, are you ready to take your hands off the steering wheel and trust the car yet?
No, but I'm ready to talk about Tesla all day, every day. So I'm going to completely hijack your segment here. But I do, for how my brain works also, Mike, you've known me for a long time. When I see something like not to be confused with Vaporwave, I would already clicked on that. And I'm like, what the heck's Vaporwave? So that's in my notes to check that out later, because that's like the coolest name ever. But I will say with Tesla, a couple things Mike said, Elon Musk can focus. I do think people can run multiple companies if they're visionaries. But I do think that you're right. He's stretched, right? And, he's kind of campaigning with Trump. So if Trump gets elected, he's going to get a cabinet seat, and then he's not going to be, there's going to be a binding whatever where he can't even lead his companies or directly lead them. So I mean, I would not touch the stock here at all. let's see, cars are kind of an extension of your personality. So, it's a lot of us, you spend more money on it because you like to feel better going to and from work, not because it gets there any faster necessarily within our infrastructure, right? So they really are a personality kind of based thing. And a lot of people don't want to share something like that. To ride in it's one thing, but to actually like have somebody take your car. And I'm stealing it for a second because I want to show this idea. So this is called Swimply. This is, and I went to swimply.com to see if they were still in business because this is how you rent out your swimming pool. There's no way this company's going to make it, right? I have a pool. There's zero chance. I mean, I guess if I was financially destitute, I don't know. I guess there would be a situation where I would, but who wants people in and out of their backyard? I don't want people in and out of my car, anything like that. So just had to bring that up. And lastly, you're right. Waymo is the technology here, right? That Google has trying to do the self-driving thing. And I will close with my quip of I think you would have way more money if you stick with Google here than Tesla. So Mike, back to you.
Oh my goodness, that's good.
It's Friday.
Okay, so let's get to the other side. Much more positive news, we'll say. And JP Morgan Chase came out with their earnings today for profit and revenue better than expected. So that's good news. We want companies to do well. Just remember that investments kind of rise together, whether you hold a direct position in JP Morgan Chase or, if you hold a piece of the S&P 500, or more likely you have a JEPI in your portfolio, you do own a piece of JP Morgan Chase because it's overall the S&P 500. And a big component of it, not as big as an Apple or Amazon or Nvidia, but big enough that it's substantial. We want JP Morgan Chase to do well because that means banking's going well, people are loaning, taking loans, businesses are getting funded, things are going well. So when they came out with their earnings, here I'm going to pull this up as far as expectations. 437 a share versus 401 expected, and 43 billion in revenue versus 41 and change revenue. So, good news across the board. Hey, at the beginning of earnings season, hey, let's let the good news keep on going. How did the stock react? Up 5% ballpark. So and let's reel it back. Let's look at here's a 5-year graph. That's good news. And go all the way back. Hey, banks can go up too, right? And you're going to eventually see some consolidation with banks. Market cap 633 billion, so it's not a $1 trillion company. Certainly not I always like to say the Mag 7 minus Tesla. Maybe add Eli Lilly in there, but not to that $1 trillion mark yet, but definitely a solid company. And as Steve mentioned, Jamie Dimon, top-notch leader. You always wonder, you take, Buffett, you take these different leaders that have been there for a long time, and we just don't know how much longer. Jamie Dimon used to say it was like, how long are you going to be? At least more than 5 years. And I think the last time they asked him that question, he gave kind of a hedge answer of not quite 5 years or something. So they're starting to ask, how long are you going to lead this company? Because he's really doing a good job. Back over to you, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think legendary names, Buffett, Diamond, Youngman. I mean, you just wonder how long they can spit their wisdom, and we benefit from having them. And Jamie Dimon could end up as the Treasury Secretary. Is probably the most logical, not really the Fed chair, but really Treasury Secretary would be kind of interesting, or in some form of cabinet from there. So, all right, we talked vaporware. I teased vaporwave. I couldn't resist, so here we go. If I can say all these things correctly, I knew none of this. I like music, but none of this. Vaporwave is a micro genre of electronic music. Okay, a subgenre of hauntology. I'm going to stop there. I mean, there's no citation, so maybe somebody made this up and thinks it's funny. But it became well known in 2015. Okay.
Not that well done.
Yeah, sounds good. and then it throws out. I just kind of scanned down here, and it throws out like it's like a bingo card of like random stuff. So anyhow, there's your vaporware. All right. We don't invest in vaporware, but we do in vaporwave or where the money markets what they are, how they work, and who uses them is from Investopedia. Really, this is your, safe liquid investments is what this kind of the video talks about. Yeah, so kind of peeling it back, for years we had zero interest rates, right? So you couldn't go into a CD. You retire and you're like, oh, I have $2 million. I just want to put it in CDs. Well, they aren't paying anything. So that's forced you into the market, right? There is no alternative, the TINA market, if you will. Well, then we had 2022, rates go up all year long, settle above 5%. Then you could get CDs for like 5% plus 5.7, I think was the highest I ever saw. So but now we're coming out of that, and sorry for kind of the moving target that we've had on your accounts as far as, we said in July, we're going to start extending duration. We went out to VCLT. VCLT moved so fast from like 75 up to touch to 82. I mean, it really moved fast to where there just wasn't a whole lot of upside to stay in VCLT. It's still paying a nice juicy dividend. We still have a ton of it in the book, but we've started on the edges to move towards this MMKT. Same thing with USFR, which is our floating rate treasury fund. Same thing, kind of moving that over to MMKT because it's a little more pure play. So when you think of money markets, think 80s. Think of this 5-letter ticker mutual fund that is pegged at $1, right? And it never goes below that. Okay, Jaden, if you're listening, I know there are times in history that it has dropped below $1, but for the most part, it's pegged to the dollar and you can trust it. So it's kind of like the best of each of the worlds of treasury, CDs, all that packaged into a money market. Now, what's the difference now is we had this as in a mutual fund form. Now we have it in an ETF form, and Texas Capital Government Money Market is the first one to do that, and they highly anticipate that all the big firms are going to start doing this too, and just offer it in an ETF. So remember, ETFs are more tax efficient, right? Money flows in and out of them during the day, and there's none of that surprise capital gains you've received from mutual funds at the end of the year. You're like December 27th, and here's a big capital gain that it distributes. That doesn't happen in an ETF. And you can see that it's designed to not go down. And you're like, well, Steve, it did go down from the 4th to the 7th. Okay, it went down a penny. All right, fair enough. Down one penny. So I called them on that, and they said it's plus or minus a cent. So what's going to happen is, since this thing has only been around since September 24th, is it's going to go up basically for a month, and it'll be at like 126, and then it will distribute the 26 cents and drop itself down to 100. Again, plus or minus a penny. So it might be 99.99 or 100.01. But that's what it's going to do. And it's going to do that month over month. So it's going to reset to that same level, which is better than when you look at a USFR, you still get that sawtooth pattern or heartbeat pattern that people talk about, but it's also floating. And that's the problem, is that these highs and lows are not at the same spot. So, if you went in here on this day, you got the distribution and you're here, but then, a month later, you get another distribution, but you're actually showing, if you put $100,000 in, you'd actually be down. And that's what I don't want. So that's why we talked about this and decided to make the switch for large portions of the money, is so you don't have that movement. When the market was going up, or when rates went up, you got a decent move to the upside, but you can see these lower lows are continuing down. I want to avoid that. The answer is MMKT, so that's why we're in it. So, all right, that's all I have. Anything else money market wise there, Mike, to pass on?
It's great. It's great to explain it, just so, and sometimes when people see this graph like this USFR, and eventually the MMKT one will look similar with the sawtooth, they're like, oh my gosh, this thing drops. It's very volatile. But you have to look at the as far as the legend to see that, like, oh no, it's really not. It's only trading pennies difference.
Yes,
so.
And it'll pay out monthly. All this stuff will populate once it pays out. That's why, generally we don't hop, both feet into something new, right? You nibble into it, or you put your toes in. With this, it's a money market. It's a money market. There's not rocket science going on in the background. It is a straight money market. So again, superior product. I think it'll be largely copycatted, and you'll see so see BlackRock offering it, but they'll probably offer it for a more expensive version than Texas Capital did. So we're very pleased to have this in our book. And if you have any questions on it, please reach out to your advisor. All right, that's all we've got for today's show. We do have kind of a bigger weekend coming up. We have Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday. So it's a holiday for some, not for others. So anyhow, just know that that's out there. If that's not on your radar scope, the markets are open. So we will be working. So if you have questions, reach out to us. And with that, you guys have a good weekend. Bye.